Today's stories will look at the unflattering intersection between mankind and the animal kingdom. This will be a compilation of some recent fatal animal encounters that will send chills down your spine, so you better buckle up. Due to the rapid expansion of urbanization, some of these encounters are inevitable. As human beings continue to encroach into animal habitats, it's only a matter of time before Mother Nature lashes out in a bid to restore balance. With this in mind, this video will serve as an illustration of some of the most brutal animal encounters in recent years, with most of them resulting in fatalities. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you are a fan of animal encounters, true crime investigations and the paranormal. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the story of a seasoned veteran trophy hunter who came face to face with one of Africa's most vindictive beasts. 52-year-old American millionaire, Asher Austin Watkins was a successful rancher and business tycoon who met a tragic end in South Africa. Watkins was known to be an outdoors man, so it came as no surprise that he had the primal urge to hunt. Having conquered North America, he longed for a new conquest. He had his sights set on the great African wilderness. Like thousands before him, he was drawn in by the allure of going toe-to-toe with Africa's most formidable quarry. Little did he know, the odds wouldn't be in his favor. He was quite confident in his abilities as a hunter, but he misjudged how dangerous the African wilderness can be. Coenraad Vermaak Safaris, a tour guide operator based out of South Africa's Limpopo province, would serve as mediators for Watkins' expedition, handling all the licenses and permits required by law to conduct a trophy hunt. This already set off alarm bells because Coenraad Vermaak Safaris is at the forefront of animal conservation and sustainable tourism, but operating out of a private game reserve means exceptions can be made if the price is good enough. Watkins flew in on Saturday the 2nd of August and CV Safaris got to work accommodating all his needs, but mostly giving him a detailed update on the lay of the land. Watkins had set his sights on one of Africa's legendary Big Five. The adversary he chose, nicknamed the Black Death, is one of Africa's most dangerous animals, especially for professional hunters. The animal in question is the Cape buffalo. Weighing close to a ton, this behemoth has a skull which is impenetrable due to the structure of its horns. This is nature's armored protection. Not to forget, these herbivores have a really short fuse and nasty tempers. Even the king of the savannah will think twice before taking on a Cape buffalo. However, these dangerous attributes were exactly what Watkins was drawn to, and the thought of going up against such an opponent filled him with excitement. In the early hours of Sunday, the 3rd of August 2025, right at the crack of dawn, Watkins, accompanied by another professional hunter, set off to track their quarry. They had singled out a solitary bull, and they were hot on his trail. The solitary animal had been spotted the previous day grazing, so they had an idea of its general vicinity. The two hunters set up a makeshift shelter near a small watering hole known to be frequented by the beast. They had noticed a hoof impression on the ground but assumed the beast had moved on to graze. Little did they know, they had approached him from downwind. He had caught the scent of the duo and made himself invisible by taking cover and waiting in the dense thicket of bush. With his highly territorial instinct taking presidency, a confrontation was just a moment's notice away. The details of the story get murky. CV Safaris is speculated to have pulled off some PR stunt to save face. Their reputation as conservation-oriented tour operators hung in the balance following the incident. The private animal reserve couldn't risk being labeled as a captive wildlife breeding farm, so it is speculated that the statements of the incident were doctored. Two statements were issued. One implies they had seen the buffalo, shot and wounded it leading up to an attack. Then another statement was later issued claiming the buffalo attacked unprovoked and wasn't wounded. All that was apparent was the fact that the hunter had become the hunted. The scene of the attack told a gruesome story. Watkins had been charged by the beast, preventing him from letting off a shot. It had lodged its dagger-like horns into his ribcage, thrusting and thrashing its head. He was tossed around like a rag doll. By the time he hit the ground, the unrelenting bull trampled him. The scene was bloody and gruesome according to the testimony of the second hunter on the scene. Watkins' hunting partner finally managed to let off 2 shots. The bullet struck the beast but didn't seem to have an effect. The buffalo made its escape, leaving behind a bloody and wounded Watkins lying motionless on the ground. The other hunter radioed for help, but by the time it arrived, Watkins had succumbed to his injuries. It was a stern reminder of how power dynamics can shift in the African savanna, how the hunter can quickly become the hunted. The news soon hit the social media streets and there were a lot of mixed feelings. Some felt he got his karma for exercising the same cruelty on the animals he hunted and trophy hunting should be abolished completely. The other faction on the internet believe in trophy hunting, and claim it boosts tourism figures. Though brutal, it's part of life. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Should trophy hunting be abolished or not? The next part of the video takes us away from the southern African savanna, all the way up north to the land of the pyramids. I'm sure you are probably asking yourself, what dangerous wildlife other than venomous snakes and camels inhabit such a barren desert? Well, this tragic story unfolded in the waters of the Red Sea. The most brutal part of the story is that it all occurred in front of our protagonist's family, and other horrified onlookers, but there was nothing they could do except scream and yell out frantically. A 23-year-old Russian man by the name of Vladimir Popov was on vacation with his family in Egypt at the famous Hurghada resort in June 2023. After a day of sightseeing and cuisine tasting, Vladimir and his father Yuri had fallen victim to the extreme harshness of the Egyptian sun. After enduring temperatures of over 44 degrees Celsius for the better part of the afternoon, the two decided to go and cool off at the beach. Yuri explained that both he and Vladimir got into the sea and leisurely splashed around. Yuri just wanted to wash away all the sweat that had accumulated on his body, so he only spent a couple of minutes in the water before exiting. Vladimir, on the other hand, wanted to venture deeper into the water. He was a competitive swimmer earlier on in his life, so the water was his second home. Personally, I am always weary about entering large bodies of water, especially where wildlife tends to dwell. I'm talking about the carnivorous type to be specific. However, both Yuri and Vladimir felt safe as there was a harbor close by. They were under the impression these waters were safe, and the fact that there was so much activity in the area gave them a false sense of assurance that no animal would want to be in such close proximity to humans. Little did they know, they couldn't be more wrong. As Vladimir swam in deep waters close to the harbor, a surprised onlookers caught some shocking footage on his phone. Vladimir can be seen thrashing in the water violently. At first it seems like he is drowning, but some way more sinister is taking place. It seems as if some unknown force is pushing him from side to side. No one could tell what was causing this violent swirl of water, thrashing Vladimir from side to side until something emerges from the water and comes into full view of the camera frame. It was the unmistakable dorsal fin of one of the ocean's most feared predators, and Vladimir had unwillingly entered its domain. His father watched helplessly from the shore as his son could be heard scream out, "Papa, help me in, please save me," in his native Russian. When everyone hears of a shark attack, the culprit that always comes to mind is the notorious great white. Despite people's suspicions, this time, the great white wasn't the perpetrator. They do not dwell in these parts but only use them along the migratory journey. Vladimir was in the jaws of its smaller cousin, the tiger shark. Questions were still being asked as to why the shark was lurking in the harbor. It is pretty unusual behavior for tiger sharks to be so close to the beach. Egypt's Ministry of Tourism issued a statement declaring that all water-based activities should be halted pending investigations. Egypt's Ministry of Environment put together a specialist team tasked with hunting down the animal. Due to behavioral patterns and territorial instincts, the team tasked with hunting it down knew it would return to the area. As expected, the perpetrator was hunted down and caught. In her stomach, they found the remains of Vladimir, and other parts that weren't devoured were recovered by fishermen. The animal in question was to be mummified and kept in a museum. Here's the kicker: the shark was linked to 3 other attacks. None of the previous attacks had resulted in fatalities, making this one an anomaly. Why do you think this encounter resulted in the shark devouring its victim when it hadn't done so in previous incidents? Share your thoughts in the comments.